Section 3 of Chapter 1 of the Omnivore's Dilemma is called The Rise of Maize. When Columbus returned to Spain after his first voyage, he described many wonderful things he had seen to Queen Isabella. One of his discoveries was a towering grass with an ear as thick as a man's arm, to which grains were affixed in a wondrous manner and in form and size like garden peas, white when young. That grass was called maize, but today we know it as corn. Corn began as a wild grass called teosinte. Teosinte means mother of corn in the Native American language. Teosinte still grows wild in some places in Central America, but if you saw it, you might not recognize it as the mother of corn. Teosinte ears are no bigger than your thumb. They are not covered in thick husks. The kernels are tiny seeds. Yet long before Columbus arrived, that wild grass had managed to evolve into maize and spread across North America. Looking at the little infographic, corn or maize. Maize is the other name for what Americans call corn. It is the name the Spanish learned from the Native Americans who grew it. In England and much of the world, the plant is still called maize. Corn was the English word for any sort of grain, even a grain of salt. That's where the term corned beef comes from. The English who settled in North America called the plant Indian corn, meaning Indian grain. Today in the United States and Canada, corn has become so important it has taken over the word. Corn is just corn, and all those other grains have to stick to their own names. Corn spread because it could adapt to the needs of human beings. Of course, it needed human help. Humans selected bigger ears with fatter kernels and planted those seeds. By the year 700, Indians as far away as New England and Canada farmed maize. Corn had begun its march to world domination, but it still had a long way to go. After Columbus, the Native Americans were conquered by the Europeans, but maize, or corn, had no loyalties to the Maya and other people who had helped it spread. It was only concerned with its own survival. The Europeans presented a way for corn to spread even further. The plant quickly adapted to the new humans and their needs. The first thing corn did was push aside the European crops the new settlers brought with them. The European plants just couldn't compete. For example, wheat brought from Europe did not do well as well as the native maize. A seed of wheat might, with luck, yield 50 new grains of wheat. A single planted corn seed could yield 150 to 30 fat kernels. Corn won that contest easily. Corn continued quickly to win over the new settlers by being very useful. It could supply them with ready-to-eat vegetable, a storable grain, a source of fiber, an animal feed, and heating fuel. Corn could be eaten fresh off the cob or dried on the stalk, stored over the winter, and ground into flour. Corn could also be mashed and fermented to make beer or whiskey. No part of the big grass went to waste. The husks could be woven into rugs and twine. The leaves and stalks made good feed for livestock. The shelled cobs could even be stacked by the outhouse and used as a rough substitute for toilet paper. In the competition for king of crops, corn left the European plants in the dust. Settlers who stuck with the old world crops often perished. The colonists who recognized corn's usefulness did well. And of course, one thing that successful farmers did was plant more corn, helping maize to build its kingdom. Corn helped the colonists, and the colonists helped corn. Corn made itself useful in one other important way. It turned out that corn was an excellent way to store and trade wealth. Dried corn is easy to transport and almost indestructible. The farmer can take any surplus to market and sell or trade it. In the new colonies, corn often took the place of money. Corn allowed farming settlements to become trading settlements. Corn made the slave trade possible. Traders in Africa paid for slaves with corn and then fed slaves corn when they were brought here. Corn was the perfect plant for the growing economy of the colonies. And just as important, the new colonists gave corn a way to get to the rest of the world. Let's look at the last little infographic on this page. Why corn needs people. Wild teosinte does not look like modern corn. It does not have fat ears with hundreds of kernels wrapped in the thick husk. Instead, it has a single row of triangular seeds growing on a single stalk. Its kernels are covered by a hard shell. The seeds are spread by animals. Sometime several thousand years ago, teosinte mutated or changed. The mutation made its seeds grow on a cob covered by a husk. Now its seeds could not come loose by themselves. Luckily, a creature came along that knew how to pick those husks, take out the seeds, and plant them. That creature was us. Humans took the ears off the plant, separated the kernels, ate some, and planted others. Teosinte gave up its independence, but it gained an ally who helped it spread across the globe. Ever since, corn and human beings have been joined together. The plant cannot live without us. Can we live without the plant? Okay, that's the end of this section. I'll see you in the next section.